Are you ready to embark on a journey of success? To discover your true potential in the untold stories of careers in life sciences? Welcome to PATHFINDER by the Purdue Institute of Inflammation, Immunology and Infectious Disease. With your host, Tommy Soares, discover the untold stories of industry scientists and unveil the secrets to excelling in your career. Thank you for joining us once again, and remember to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Welcome, everybody. My name is Tommy Soares. I'm the Director of Scientific Strategy and Relations for the Purdue Institute of Inflammation, Immunology and Infectious Disease. And today I'm doing another special segment on 16 Tech, which is the Innovation District in Indianapolis, Indiana, where I am spotlighting Camilo Lozano, a program manager at Gener8tor, renowned for its dynamic role in the venture capital and accelerator landscape. Camilo plays a pivotal role in this nationally ranked firm, dedicating his effort to forging robust ecosystems that bring together entrepreneurs, investors, educators, and corporations. Gener8tor's mission focuses on inclusive investment in diverse talents, transcending barriers of race, place, and gender. Through his insights, we'll delve into how Gener8tor champions community growth and diversity, setting a benchmark for success and inclusivity in the entrepreneurial world. Thank you so much, Camilo, for coming and telling us your story. I'm so interested to learn more about you and Gener8tor.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that intro. I'm not sure that we have anything else to talk about, really. That was perfect.
That's awesome. Yesterday we held the Health Equity Summit at Purdue University, the third annual Health Equity Summit. And it was just awesome to see not only community agencies and organizations, but also these types of entrepreneurial people and startup companies that are looking to meet the mission of inclusivity, diversity. Tell us a little bit about this. How did you get into this, and what does Gener8tor look like today?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll just start with just a little bit of background on myself. I'm fairly new with Gener8tor and fairly new to the venture world, but I got really sucked into this world by going to different pitch competitions around Indianapolis, hanging around 16 Tech, hanging around Agronovus, Indiana, going to Elevate Venture events and other events here in Indianapolis. And the energy and the ideas, it just sucked me in. Before this, I was in the sales and business development side of things. I worked for a large agriculture company, so my background is in agriculture. So I managed a territory here in the Midwest for 8+ years doing sales and business development for this large agriculture company. And, about 8 months ago or so, made the leap of faith to try something new and see if I could help some of these early stage founders with these great ideas, see if I can help them out in one way or the other. And Gener8tor gave me that opportunity to be a part of this ecosystem here in Indianapolis and help these founders.
Phenomenal. And I see from your LinkedIn background that you went to North Carolina State University. You did a bachelor's in science and agricultural engineering. Tell us a little bit about that time. What was it like in North Carolina State?
Absolutely. So yeah, I went to North Carolina State University, got a degree from the agriculture engineering department there. It was fantastic. It was my first real deep dive into agriculture, and mostly my background was on the machinery side of things. So it was more of a mechanical engineering, mostly focused on ag components, diesel engine instead of the auto cycle, right? So Loved going to North Carolina State. I'm a Wolfpack through and through. I like to compare it to, I like to say it's like the Purdue of North Carolina.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. And is there anything about that period of time, or even as you went into this larger ag company and the experience that you got there, that you think is helpful in particular here in Indiana because of the agriculture industry, or mainly because you learned certain traits and skills that you think you can impart to a new generations of entrepreneur?
Yeah, certainly. So I think my background in sales and development and business development, I did that for 8 years, got a good handle on what it means to not only go knocking on doors trying to sell products, but also learning to understand a customer and trying to find some of those pain points that they're experiencing, and figuring out solutions for those problems that they have. And that's all what sales really is really understanding your customers and what they're going through and how you can actually help them move forward and with either a new idea or a new project or a new product. And of course, the agriculture aspect of that, I learned a lot. When you're here in Indiana in the Midwest, you learn a lot about a row crop, right? And so this was my first exposure about with so much corn, soybean, and wheat. So the ag industry is near and dear to my heart, and I understand it fairly well. I've met some really amazing contacts and amazing folks in the ag industry in the Midwest that today I consider good friends. And so having those contacts and having that experience is really valuable, especially with Gener8tor, with some of the things that I'm tasked with doing. So just to piggyback off that a little bit,
Yeah.
I run Gener8tor's G Beta Ag Bioscience program and Gener8tor's G Beta Life Science program. So last year, I ran the G Beta Ag Bioscience program, where we're focusing on agriculture startups, and that is, playing near and dear to my heart. And
Yes.
now, this go around here, starting in March, we are recruiting and looking for folks in the life science space. So it's a little bit of a different shift from agriculture, but there's a lot of similar aspects to it.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit, how is it that you work with these startups? So do you put out a call to recruit some? What's the process there, Camilo?
Yeah, absolutely. So recruiting is very much like sales. So it's a lot of knocking on doors and searching through LinkedIn and trying to find some folks that say founder on their LinkedIn and reaching out to them, cold reach outs, and but also reaching out to our ecosystem here in Indianapolis and the ecosystem that Gener8tor has. So Gener8tor has programs that run in very different and all kinds of different markets around the Midwest. We really try to focus on the Midwest, and so some of those connections are already established. So I can touch into some of those other geographical areas or markets and try to find different startup founders and also mentors for the program through the Gener8tor network. So that's a little bit about how we recruit is, clear out, go try to find things on our own, through LinkedIn, making our other connections through our current ecosystem and then Gener8tor's ecosystem. Yeah.
And does it ever happen that you might have a startup company that calls you guys and says, "Hey, we are interested in maybe having a conversation"? And if that is the case, how do people go about doing that?
Yeah, that happens all the time. So the great thing about Gener8tor and what I love about the programs that we offer is we have programs in different pillars. And if you're familiar with the startup world and the venture world and the accelerator world. There's the typical equity-based accelerators where we infuse capital into your company for a percentage equity into your company, right? So that is one pillar that we do, infuse capital with our own capital, get percentage of your company. But then we have these other programs that are actually free. They're called G-beta programs and G-alpha programs. And that's really what we focus on here in Indiana is these G-beta programs where they're free to the founders. We don't take any equity into your company. They're a little bit smaller, or the time frame is a little bit shorter. They're about 7 weeks. We're a little bit more lenient on, like, you don't have to be here in person, but we do have some in-person components. But we like to do things mostly virtual to make things a little bit easier on you. You know, you're a founder for a startup company, funds are tight, right? And coming to Indianapolis sometimes can be a challenge. So we have a lot of virtual components to these free programs. And I like having this option of being able to help startups at this phase where they're really, really early stage and they just don't have the funds or the resources to really, you know, take that next step. And that's kind of where we come in.
And so that's really cool. What is that next step? Meaning, you know, I know it depends for each one, but are you guys in a position where you do help with funding, or you help them write small business grants or find partners or venture capitalists that can inject funding? How is that piece? Or all of the above?
Yeah, it's a little bit about all the above. And I'll walk you through you know, kind of the nuts and bolts of this
Okay.
G beta program. So they're typically 7 weeks, and then we introduce we work with 5 founder teams. So we only work with 5 teams at a time. And we introduce these teams to 30 plus mentors. And these mentors can be folks that are industry experts in whatever field that you are in. You know, if we're talking life sciences, you know, maybe we have some mentors that have a biopharma background, or or mentors can be folks that retired from Lilly, have a great background working at Lilly or Roche, or they can be folks that have you know, great experience in sales and marketing, are a web development developer, or they have a background in app development. Those are the type of folks that we introduce them to from a mentor standpoint. And I think these mentors, these are folks that potentially founders may not have the opportunity to meet because they're so busy trying to develop their technology and their company. And sometimes you get too laser focused in what you're doing, that you forget that you really need to make this a business. And the only way to make this a business is leading a bunch of people that know what they're doing on the business side of things.
Right. Yeah. I find that, you know, I obviously at Purdue University, there's a lot of technology and a lot of innovation that comes about. And, you know, I work with a lot of profs, and the last piece that you mentioned is something I have to live with also continually, because many of them have great innovations, technology, but the business side of things needs to take shape as well to be competitive out there in the marketplace, and to be able to move through the de-risking periods that are so treacherous for some of these technologies. So, but very interesting. I love that you are essentially you're like a bit of an incubator, would you call it? Gener8tor
Yeah.
is an incubator, and it's really there to help. So do you guys also provide you know, administrative infrastructure? Like if one of these founders wanted to I don't know, do a show or something, is Gener8tor there to help them promote and help them market or think about the strategy through these 30 different mentors?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's such a good question. Good question. I mean, the other components of that program is we go through a list of different things that we work on and have guest speakers that come into the program that talk about how to pitch your company to investors, how to get into an equity accelerator where there is actual funding into your company, how to look at market analysis, how to look at comparables, what does it take, what kind of strategies does it take to go and get this thing commercialized. So those are some of the things that we also work on as well. But yeah, and those are in program components. And then the other great thing about Gener8tor is that we also host conferences and we also host all kinds of different events, and we try to be part of this ecosystem, part of the community. So we're really trying to be a partner for the community, build this community up around entrepreneurship, around mentorship, about investing. So we have conferences in different markets that we invite industry experts, we invite other venture capitalists in our network, and we invite all the founders that we've worked with in last year or throughout the years. We invite them all to these conferences to either attend or pitch, right? And if they're at that stage where they need to raise funds for their seed or their Series A, they get moved to the top of the list of like, hey, if you need a space to pitch, come to this conference that we're hosting. We're going to have 100+ investors there. We're going to have some great guest speakers. And so that's the other aspect of what Gener8tor does, is we also try to be a part of the community by having these types of events as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So you're like a matchmaker, you're a convener. You're throwing the wedding parties all the time. That's great,
That's what I tell.
Camilo.
Yeah, that's what I tell everyone, that my job really is to be a connector.
Yeah.
I'm really here to be a connector, a facilitator, and you have me for 7 weeks. You can use me for whatever you need me to use me for. I'm basically your project manager for the next 7 weeks.
Camilo, tell me a little bit about, and you probably had a different experience in North Carolina, but tell me a little bit, what is it about Indianapolis or Indiana that makes it such a hotbed for these startups, and what makes it so attractive, especially in the ag and the life sciences sector? Yeah, you mentioned the soybeans, the corn, the wheat. Definitely. And I don't know if you knew, but wood is also a big industry here in Indiana. I learned about that recently. But what makes all these other startups, and what's this atmosphere of innovators and entrepreneurs that are hovering around there in 16 Tech that makes it so attractive? Tell us a little bit your point of view.
I think you kind of nailed it right there by starting with 16 Tech, right, and this innovation district that they've, the Indiana and the government have infused a lot of funds and resources into places like the 16 Tech Innovation District, where you can have this type of camaraderie and build communities around like-minded individuals. And I think that, the Indiana Economic Development Corporation has put a lot of time and effort into developing these connections and building these ecosystems, not only partnering with large corporations that are, headquartered here, like the Lilies of the world, the Cortevas of the world, the Elancos, right? And I'm missing more, so please don't get mad at me if I missed you there. But yeah, it's I think there is a sense of community here, and there's a sense of Indiana being really business friendly. And that plays really, really well when it comes to getting talent here and keeping talent here, especially pulling from IU, Purdue, and the rest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I I couldn't agree more. And that was a question that I had when you were talking a little bit about the Gener8tor uh G beta programs. I thought, oh, this is really interesting. So do you connect with some of the offices of technology and commercialization or the venture, arms of these universities as well?
Yeah, for sure. So the university partnerships are a key component of where we find our startups,
Hmm.
and a key component of where we find our mentors for these programs. Um, Currently, like I mentioned before, running this life science program, but um, my colleague is also running an Industry 4.0 program, and he's kicking off right on March 28th as well. And so his focus is going to find startups that are in the smart manufacturing, the manufacturing of the future, circular economy. That's kind of the focus of his program.
Hmm.
So of course he's going to reach out to people at Purdue and the engineering schools there. And I've been reaching out to folks in IU and their life science folks there, and also Purdue because they have a big branch of that as well. So yeah, the universities play a big part in not only recruiting startups but also helping us out when it comes to mentorship.
Yeah, I would also mention the University of Notre Dame with their
And Notre Dame
idea.
as well,
Yeah,
yeah.
the idea center that they have there. I think the the incredible atmosphere, the incredible environment that we have here, not only because of these huge and great institutions that are generating a lot of innovations, as we said before, but also the combination with the companies that are here and the people that are here, whether they're working in companies or other institutions. I would also mention that you down there, right beside the Indiana Biosciences Research Institute, the IBRI, is also a formidable player that is making a lot of great headway, especially in Alzheimer's and everything that they're doing in drug discovery, and diabetes, and there's so much potential um, momentum to be continued and to be gathered as we continue down this road. What has me very intrigued too is, and as I said when we started this conversation, is this whole health equity piece that we were talking about yesterday at our health equity summit. We had invited the former director of NIH, Francis Collins, and Dr. Jerome Adams also was the one that was leading the charge yesterday. And it was really incredible to see the diversity of people coming together, the different communities, the different innovations, as I said before. Is there, I think, you hit it really well in saying that, well, Indiana has all of these, brewing potentials coming out, but there's also some advantage because there's diversity, there's a lot of openness of people working together. I think I see that a lot from what we were doing yesterday at the summit. What's your take of it down there?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, you can just see that from the makeup of the people that are here at 16 Tech, the innovation district, and you just walk the halls. I mean, it's a vibrant ecosystem. There's all kinds of folks here that are working on really interesting stuff. You can go get lunch with somebody who might be developing the next great startup, or is just an awesome community member that does some philanthropy on the side and has
Mhm.
their own volunteer program, right? So
Yeah.
I think it building that sense of community, and Indianapolis is doing a really, really good job at that for sure. Um, Tommy, how long have you been doing this podcast? And kind of, I apologize. What was the impetus of creating this? I would just love to learn a little bit more about that, and just kind of get your perspective on things.
No, absolutely. Well, this podcast really came inspiration a couple of years ago when Indiana was the first state to pass the abortion law. And I thought, oh my gosh, how are we going to be attracting females to really work in the state, and good scientists, good females that maybe didn't have that same point of view. And I thought, well, maybe we just need to start highlighting what opportunities there are here in Indiana, what other significant players there are, other innovators, other scientists, other, entrepreneurs that we have in Indiana. And I thought this is my way of kind of counter current of the voice if there was any negativity, because we were the first state to pass the abortion law. And I thought, if we can speak louder about the opportunities and focus a lot on that, it was a big motivator of why I started this.
It,
And yeah, go ahead.
no, I love that. Love that. It goes hand in hand with what how generator to me kind of walks the walk with what they say, right? Race, place, and gender is kind of the main pillar of the mission for Generator. It's plastered all over our website. But they walk the talk. I mean, they walk the walk. They if you look at the makeup of my colleagues at Generator, it's 50 to 55% female or more. Actually, it's probably more. And that's incredible. And it's an incredibly diverse group of individuals that work at Generator. And that was another thing that really attracted me to the company is the diversity of ideas, the diversity of people,
Yes.
the diversity of gender. Like it's just a really interesting company to work for, especially coming from an industry where, yeah, it was mostly males in agriculture.
Yep.
Mostly males in agriculture, and interaction with females and with different races and just different folks. It's limited in agriculture.
Yeah.
And it's just that's the nature of it. But so yeah, that was one of the things that also really attracted me to Generator, and I think it makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad that you started this podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Camilo. I think it makes a lot of sense too. And it makes a lot of sense what Generator is trying to do in terms of these partnerships. Do you for these 5 founders that you guys pick, do you match them up? Do you create some partnerships among them too? Or is it mainly the contacts with these mentors that are creating the majority of the partnerships?
Yeah, I think both. So it's the reason why we do 5 in the cohort is the fact that we can kind of make it more concierge and be more one-on-one. With it being 7 weeks and being mostly virtual, it gets a little difficult to have more, roundtable conversations. But my goal is to, have times where we can meet as a cohort, talk about, hey, this is kind of what we talked about today in the lunch and learn event that we sat in, right? What are your thoughts? What are your ideas? How can startup A collaborate with startup B? You guys are basically going through the exact same thing in this process. How can you guys learn from each other? So there is that camaraderie built within the cohort. But yeah, it's easier when it's done in person, but you try your best when it's done virtually.
Well, but that's so interesting. And I really hope that you are going to follow that trajectory, because it might be that they meet now, but it might be that they need each other, or that they synergize with each other maybe 5 years down the line, because they remembered, oh, that's right, I met you at this thing and remember we could do this together. There's so much potential with what you guys do. I am curious from a personal point of view, just because I'm a musician too. Tell me a little bit about what interaction you have with musicians.
Musicians. So, um, Gener8tor personally.
Yeah, well, the Gener8tor, because I see on the Gener8tor website that you bring together startup founders, investors, corporations, job seekers, university, musicians, and artists, is what it says on the website.
Yes.
So I thought, oh, what's this?
Yeah, we can stick with the Gener8tor on the music side of things because me, I can't touch an instrument. I'm terrible with them. So, but for Gener8tor, we do have yeah, it's just incredible what they do. There's not only this music tranche and that we are also involved in, but we also have this skills development program as
Mm,
well. So we'll talk a little bit about the music and the art. So there are programs that we host in some geographical regions of the Midwest that are focused on local artists. They can be actual artists, painters or musicians, right?
yeah,
Um, and we develop programs for them to showcase their their products, to showcase what their art, what they're
mm,
working on, and we also try to introduce them to some more folks in our network that are interested in, you know, that type of art, or they're interested in that type of music, and help
yeah,
these really blossoming, artists try to take that next step and find, that next gig or find that next venue to host their art.
yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the other things that Gener8tor does is we are again building community around creative individuals, right?
Yeah.
And art and music is nothing but creative. So that's another interesting route of Gener8tor. The other thing is we upskill folks that want to get into tech. So we have, and that's a big part of our mission as well, is trying to find individuals who are looking to get into the technology side of things, but don't have the background
Mm,
and don't have the time to really figure out how to get that job in IT or to get that job in coding. We have a program. We developed a program where we can upskill folks, and so they can be a part of this new tech environment that we're in.
And so when you say upscale, what does that mean? You give them particular training in different areas?
Yeah, that's right. So they'll take different training courses, they'll get certifications,
Mm,
and so they'll just be a lot more attractive when they go to apply for these more tech-driven positions.
so even though they might not have the depth or specialty in that depth, you're giving them a good broad horizon to be able to talk the talk a little bit, and be able to start to get their feet wet in that direction. Super important.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. We again, there are even certificates and stuff that they are able to get, so they can um, pad their resume up a little bit more, so they
Yeah.
understand that hey, they understand at least the basics, which is better than candidate B who has no clue. Right.
Right, right. And I no, it sounds like even a great opportunity for like continuing adult education and training from that sort. Um, are you getting a lot of people that are interested coming to you from word of mouth? How are people hearing about Gener8tor and about the services that you guys offer?
Um, yeah, I think a lot of that's going through word of mouth, and a lot of our teams are really focused on building up these conferences that we host.
Mhm.
And again, I think the company was started in 2012, so it's a fairly young company. But um, over 150 employees. So the word is getting out, and then our reach is also getting out. We're expanding outside of the Midwest. We really want to focus on the Midwest, but we are expanding into more underserved regions.
Mhm.
People are starting to understand, Gener8tor is a nationally ranked accelerator program, and they're doing good things for the community. And we've even started to expand it in Europe. We're looking to expand in South America. So it's really about expanding our reach and letting people know what we can bring to a community as a partner.
Fantastic, fantastic. Camilo, what are and I so appreciate you answering all of these questions, being so recent to the company. Man, it's impressive to see you really knowledgeable about all the facets of Gener8tor, being there for what, 9 months or whatever. Awesome. But tell me a little bit, what are some of the elements that you see or that from your experience that would make either an individual entrepreneur successful or a company that is a startup? What are some of those elements that you see are absolutely required for people and the startups to really gain ground?
You know, it's a question that I've been thinking about um, for some time now, just getting into this space, and I'm still developing it. I think that's just going to come with time and with being more with exposure to founders and really seeing what it takes to be successful in this industry. And the startup world and the entrepreneurship world is a tough game. I mean, it is very much like playing the lottery, right? Odds honestly might be a little bit better, but I think what really sets people apart, the good from the ones that may not make it, is the drive and the willingness to have the grit to keep pushing and trying to see what else they can do, and no task is beneath them. They're trying their best to figure out as much as they can, and they're curious about as much as they can be curious about to make this idea or this product or this company a success. And I think that is a true characteristic that you have to have. You have to be willing and able to kind of go through the ups and downs and not get deterred by the downs, um, and be pretty curious, as
Yeah.
curious as possible, and keep learning.
Yeah. Wow. That I love that. Um, it's so true though, the amount of effort that is required to just keep pushing through those down periods and even to keep pushing when you have up periods too, right? I think
Yeah.
most people forget that, yeah, when you're up, mm, like things are gonna happen that are gonna cause you to
Hmm.
go down, and when you're down, things are gonna happen that are gonna cause you to go up. So you
Hmm.
gotta be patient because things do tend to change dynamically, and you have to weather those storms. Do you think there are particular character types that are better suited or that are better, they can weather the storms better?
Character types. Um, I think, man, that's such a great question, and I don't want to alienate people because again, I'm just really learning this industry, and I don't know really what it takes to take a company from early stage to a unicorn, right? It's
Mm.
something that I'm still developing and I'm still learning, and but from what I can gather so far, it's someone that um, you know has the characteristic of being able to think critically about the next steps forward, being able to see the future a little bit, and being able to grab onto that goal and that idea and that dream and doing whatever you can to make that happen, right? It's really kind of just putting it all out on the line. I think those are the ones that kind of take it to that next step. It's kind of a, I don't want to say do or die, but it's that feeling like, all right, I'm all in on this. If I'm not all in on this thing, it's not it's not going to work.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that to me seems to be a key component. I don't know if it's the whole component, right? But to me, it's like, it's one of those, like, I'm in it. I'm not doing anything else until this thing goes one way or the other.
I really like that determination, the resolve, right? The promise. You got to promise yourself that no matter what, you're just gonna continue until like no more. But it's incredible how it's many times like small things that we know we have to do and that we don't do. Like we hear it all the time. Get on that phone, do 100 calls, don't stop, just do. It's the people that get up to call number 5 and they're like, okay, I'm done for the day. This is exhausting. I got to go do something else. No, you got to go after those things and having that resolve that like, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep calling. I'm going to keep going. It's so great to know that Gener8tor is part of our neighborhood and that Gener8tor is there. If you were to say people, what's the best way that they could get in touch with you or with others at Gener8tor in order to maybe start a conversation or to figure out more information about you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. So Gener8tor's website is really helpful, has a lot of different links. So Gener8tor, just so all your listeners know, it's GENER, the number 8 TOR. So it's spelled a little different. So if you go on Gener8tor's website, you can link into different specific accelerator programs. You can look at the free accelerator programs. You can look at the equity accelerator programs. You can dive deep on which regions these programs are being run in. You can dive in deeper into what industries we are running programs in. So the Gener8tor website is really helpful. If you want to talk to me or anybody in the Indiana team, I'll be happy to connect you. My email is Camilo@Gener8tor.com. So Camilo is CAMILO @GENER, the number 8 TOR.com.
Fantastic. Camilo Lozano, program manager for Gener8tor down at 16 Tech in Indianapolis. Thank you so much for taking time to be our Pathfinder today, to tell us a little bit about your journey and to tell us a little bit about Gener8tor and the wonderful work that you guys are doing. I appreciate your time today.
Absolutely, Tommy. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for including Gener8tor and the 16 Tech community into your podcast. Hope to hopefully run into you in person down here, and maybe I can buy you your next coffee.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Appreciate it, Camilo. Take care. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us once again, and remember to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.